Hello.
Hi.
Welcome back to Artist of the Week Reveal. This week, our special guest is my best friend since forever. Hopefully, you'll still claim me.
I guess.
This is Jessica Schwent. And gosh, we've been friends for, at this point, like 25 years, right?
Yeah.
Pretty close. Yeah, we were probably like 6 or 7.
So old.
I know. I'm telling people how old I am. I really
But honestly,
take it
like
back. I was like 2 when I met her. How's that?
Yeah.
Okay. But really, it was like kindergarten, first grade in Adventure Club after school playing Legos, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And then we went through everything through high school. You followed me to college because you were afraid you were going to miss me too much.
That's very true. That is the truest thing said ever.
True. And then you were in St. Louis for like a brief patch, and then you were also in Springfield for a brief patch. But otherwise, we lived in Kansas City or lived by each other pretty much our whole lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks for coming on and talking to these kiddos. So fun thing about Jess is where I have always loved art, she has always loved science. Yeah. So she used to like tutor me in every science class in college. You remember freshman biology in college? Like you trying to like come up with songs and things so I would remember it, and just like drawing pictures so that I would like see it. Even though
your brochure about plants was probably the prettiest brochure they've ever received. Probably.
It's because I'm overcompensating because I don't actually know the information.
Yeah, that's very true.
I'm asking you, okay, what do I put here? Okay, so what should I draw now? Because that's all I really care about.
Billy Madison, chlorophyll, more like borophyll. That's like how I felt trying to teach you.
100%. That's me. And so currently you are in PA school, you're finishing up. Do you want to talk about what that looks like right now, or what that is even?
Yeah, so PA is a physician assistant, and I guess they're akin to kind of a nurse practitioner. I think a lot more people are familiar with the nurse practitioner model, but PAs, they can do almost everything the doctors can, but we just work in collaboration with a physician as opposed to just kind of going rogue and doing whatever we want to do. You also only have 2 years of school as opposed to 4, and there's no residency and there's no fellowship. You can do those things, I suppose. They do have them, but that's not like a requirement to get a really good job and like be a successful PA. So I was like, that sounds great. So right now, I mean, I'm with COVID, we're out of clinics because of the PPE shortage and everything, and the uncertainty that came with that. So hopefully we'll be back in clinic again soon. But yeah, so I had so much time to, I was like, that's fine. This is the most exciting part of my week.
Hey, so glad. Me too. Well, just to give like a little sneak peek, so you went from, for years you worked for the University of Kansas in their oncology unit, doing research, helping people with that. So that was like a really high demanding job. Then you went to PA school and did your first like year, like a little over a year. And so you're studying, you're like, I'm going to visit you, and you just still have your textbooks everywhere, and it's just like insane. And so doing that nonstop. And then now with COVID, you're like your whole life is just paused.
Yeah. It was nice for like a week. And then I was like, what do I contemplated relearning to play the flute.
Oh my gosh. From high school?
But I didn't think the neighbors in the apartment complex.
Yeah, they're probably not gonna like that. Oh my gosh. And you have a husband who's a firefighter right now.
Yes. He's a medic firefighter for KC, Missouri Fire Department. So shout out to them, I guess.
Shout out to them. Yeah.
To all 25 of your students.
I love it. Okay, well, let's jump in now that I feel like we have a nice full introduction. This week, I asked you who your favorite artist is, and you said Frank Nutter, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I didn't know that much about him, so I had to research. So you just jump in whenever you're ready, okay?
Okay.
This is what I learned. Here he is.
Look at him.
I know, he's a snazzy dresser is what I've decided.
He is. Well,
is
he's
that an ascot? Or
surgeon, and surgeons notoriously are like, I'm the God's gift to the earth, so must dress that way.
All right, Frank, you're so special. Well, he was born and raised in New York, and it seemed like Manhattan mainly. Yeah. So he was doing all right. So he is considered the most accomplished American surgeon, medical illustrator.
Yes.
His first edition of the Atlas of Human Anatomy was published in 1989. Great year. So here it is. Is that's something you use?
Yeah. Well, I should have got this beforehand. Hold on.
Oh my gosh. Disables. Where'd she go? You see her little succulents on the.
So I don't know if you can see it because I can't.
There's a little shine, but I can see. Oh, I can see his little signature down at the bottom that he always has.
Yeah. So I have it, and yeah. This is what taught me anatomy. I think every nurse, doctor, what are they called? Physical therapist, it was like, I cannot say these words. Like any healthcare provider Frank Nutter has touched their lives in some way since he started. So
yeah, I mean, it says it's like the #1 used thing by medical professionals now. So
yeah,
I believe you. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what I learned. So growing up, he didn't want to be a surgeon or a doctor of any kind. He wanted to be an artist. And he actually got a scholarship to the National Academy of Design in New York in high school and did that at night while he was going to normal high school during the day. Right? I know. He's a busy guy.
I mean, that's a surgeon, so.
Right. Yeah. That's just normal. So he continued with his career trying to get into commercial art and doing illustrations. And then at some points early on, his parents were like, no, you're not going to be an artist. That's not okay. And so he ended up going back and studying medicine, which kind of goes with that whole Manhattan vibe of your parents are like, no, this isn't,
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really hating on Manhattan. That's not true.
No, they're going through a tough time right now. So
yeah, but I mean, it goes with that kind of mindset that I imagine his family had, telling him he needed to go back to study medicine. So that's when he became a surgeon. From there, he continued to do illustrations on his own. And then I'll kind of touch base later on how he ended up actually quitting medicine and becoming a full-time illustrator. So kind of cool.
Very
I like it. So here are just some of his illustrations. These are probably the 2 most popular ones that kept popping up. I think this one's terrifying on the left. What is that?
Proptosis is when your eyes kind of bulge out of your head. Extalamosis is what it's depicted there and is the sort of pathologic form of it when you're it's usually like a endocrine disorder. So it's just it can be like that, or it can be kind of more subtle. And so when you show pictures like this to medical students, that very graphic pictures in their mind, and then they're looking for the subtleties in your everyday patient, because if someone rolls in with this, you're like, yeah, okay, I know exactly what is wrong with you.
Right.
But training medical professionals to see nuanced things is what's important, and why his work is really important.
Yeah. That's scary.
It is.
I like the test for resiliency. That's my favorite part. Because now I just want to go up and like poke you in the eye. Clearly, I'm not a medical professional.
There are some weird tests that you do these days. I've learned in PA school. We won't talk on them further. But the other picture of the guy with his heart, with his hand clutching his heart, that's again something that I think any medical provider will know that photo. Like if you mention that to them, they will be like, oh yeah, we learned that photo. And it does seem like something you would find in like, I don't know, it reminds me of like Rockwell a little bit in like the style of it, but it's demonstrating like he's coming. You can, if you look at the thing, you can see he's coming out of this restaurant. It's cold outside. Because, you know, a lot of people have heart conditions and have issues with them after dinner, and he's a smoker. It's on the ground and it's like windy. He's walked upstairs. Like, yeah. So it has these layers to it. And on the surface, it looks kind of like something that would be in like Reader's Digest or something from like 1960 or whatever. But like it, when you look at it further, there is the nuances there. And again, it's just a way to have that really important information sticking into medical professionals' heads so that they can treat patients better eventually.
I love it. Yeah, this one kept popping up. This is one that you had mentioned to me as well. So very cool. He has like a nice variety of, well, I mean, he made over 4,000 illustrations by the time he was done. So he has a variety of like terrifying graphics like that, and then like illustrations where like things are happening, and then we'll hear some more ones where it's just taken, you've got all the different labels. Holy cow. Just
like the pure and anatomical part of it.
And you get to memorize all these, right? That's a fun
you
thing
do.
to do.
You do.
Oh boy.
Yeah. It's a
you
lot.
Lucky dog. Also, real quick backtrack. Can we give you like A+ for naming Rockwell, Norman Rockwell, who's an artist who is not related to science at all? Look at you.
I mean, I lived with you in the dorm. And like, I remember one guy came in for PA school and talked to us about some mental health issues and posted a bunch of Dolly on his slides. And I was like, hey,
Salvador Dali.
The guy sitting next to me was like, what?
You knew.
Listen, my friend, we memorized these, and we had like the most ridiculous mnemonics for things like, oh, Dolly liked, or maybe it wasn't Dolly, you didn't need mnemonics for Dolly, but like different people were like, oh, he's best friends with this person, like Leonardo da Vinci, and then they did this together, they ate soup, and that's why I'm going to remember he can do this. So I was like, oh, I know all about these different. So, I mean, I know a little bit about art, mostly.
You know some art.
Only from you, really. That's it.
Only what?
Only from you.
Only from me. That's the only science I know is from you, so it's fine. And Miss Bell. Shout out to Miss Bell, our science biology teacher.
Yes.
Yeah, it's fine. Okay, this one I just thought was really pretty. Like I don't know, I just threw it in there because I think he had some illustrations that are clearly just pleasant to look at as well.
Absolutely.
Nice. Yeah, very
cool.
I like a lot. Okay, and that brings us to the one that we had students discuss this week. And there's not a ton over here to say about it because what is this used for?
An anatomical memorization.
Yeah, this is strictly like it's an illustration from the Atlas of Human Anatomy. So just one of many, many examples. This one's pretty cool. I like the yellow. What are those?
Lymph nodes.
Those are the lymph nodes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, see, this is, and then the is what I got all through college when I was trying to ask for help. What's that? A chromosome?
Look at you.
A cell? Good
job. You know words. I'm so proud of you.
My mentees who had me like help them with science last year, they know not to ask this year. It's just like a joke. I'm pretty sure I called you last year at some point during the school day and left you a message asking something about science.
Yeah, I remember this, but it was very weird. Like, it was about a project. Yeah. Okay, so here it is. Very cool.
So here's some responses from
I'm
a few
interested
different.
to see what the students had to say.
I mean, most of them were spot on and said, this looks like it's out of a textbook. Like, and that's because it kind of is. It's true. So it's more of a diagram of the human body. I noticed there were yellow orb looking pieces. So a lot of people commented on the lymph nodes. And a lot of people like guessed what it was. Nerves is something I heard multiple times. This is Maggie F. But I know she's not the only one who said that. And then kind of jumping down, my interpretation of the piece is that it is the artist who created this wanted to show how the nerves look in our bodies. Accurate. But specifically the nerves, lymph nodes, fine. They may try to show nerves to people and how they think the nerves in our bodies would look if you were taking a closer look at the anatomy of the human body. So, I mean, I think really
that's it.
Like, maybe not everyone, but most of the responses were like, Miss Jury, this is from a science textbook. They saw right through us. Still an illustrator, still an artist, but yes, that's true. They were right.
Well, I mean, I think I just thought about this idea of, art is everywhere. And I remember, I guess I think like in math, you like sit in like algebra and you're like, I'm never going to need this. And then eventually you need it. And then in art class, a lot of people, I think, take advantage or like don't appreciate what you learn there in art, and that it is really in everything. And that doctors and nurses and PAs and physical therapists and anyone that's a healthcare provider, pharmacists, don't become who they are without art.
Beautiful.
So the idea that you don't need that or that it's not important to everyone is ridiculous. So, and the idea that you can love science and art, and it's like, this is how those worlds collide.
Right. You don't have to have one or the other, like me versus you. Right. But I love how much you love science, and I wish I knew more, and I love learning about it from you. I think you're probably the same with me with art. So
yeah,
and I appreciate it, just like you appreciate it. I know we 1,000% need everything you're doing, so thank you for that. Okay, last one, Elijah W. Also like described everything really well. I liked that he said, it's a diagram of a neck and a face of a person with I think he meant chin removed.
Yeah, skin.
As creepy as that sounds. And so I like that he was like, it's kind of creepy. Like, okay.
It is creepy.
I believe that this piece was simply made to inform. I really don't see any possible hidden meaning or otherwise, not even in the title. It's true. It's pretty straightforward. Still, I like this piece, if for no other reason than I like anatomy. So it interests me how things work, and though technical terms may make my head spin, just a general idea or diagram like this is enough to interest me. So we kind of got back and forth. Some people were like, yeah, no, like I'm not really into science or whatever. And even though I'm not into science, I just love the colors and I think it's cool, Yeah. But I think I had a lot of students react and say, like, I want to go into the medical field and this is cool. So yeah. So thanks for bringing it to our attention. Okay, as we're wrapping up, I have some fun facts for you. Ready?
Ready.
Okay, so he also wrote, good old Frank, wrote, bad diets can be deadly.
I didn't realize you wrote that book.
I was going to put it on the list for your next birthday. So here it is, Bad Diets Can Be Deadly by Frank Netter. It's really near and dear to his heart. I already mentioned he had nearly 4,000 illustrations. Okay, so here's the story about how he gave up medicine. He was still creating illustrations while he was working, and then the Novocaine company had contacted him. What is Novocaine for again?
Novocaine's it's like used a lot in dental procedures to like numb up your mouth.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. And so he, they asked like, how much do you want for these 5 illustrations that they had commissioned him for? And he said $1,500. They misunderstood and gave him $1,500 each. So he quit medicine because he realized he could make pretty good money. So sorry, mom and dad, but apparently I'm going to do okay. And he was successful. He did really well. He actually worked 3 days a week, like full days is what they said, painting and doing illustrations for 50 years. And that was like his main job. He also had a family. So down in the bottom is his daughter, Francine, married. And she ended up writing his biography after he died. There's a whole website on it. It's pretty cool. Check it out. And then I also found when I was like researching him, there's a school of medicine in Hamden, Connecticut named after him.
Yeah.
You knew that?
I think there's a school, I don't remember which university it is. It's like the Frank Netter, like art, anatomical illustrations, and like all you learn is to be an anatomical illustrator at this school. It's within the School of Medicine, so you got into med school.
Yeah, that's the only way I would get in. So there it is. And you still have to tell me exactly what goes where and what, but it's fine. We could be a good team. We could figure this out. And then finally, he's referred to as the Michelangelo of medicine. So it's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Good job picking him out.
Yeah.
All right. Last thing to wrap up. Yeah, you know this guy. So I wanted to give a sneak peek because who we're talking about next week is actually one of your friends. So who's this guy?
So that's Josh Mann. He's been one of my husband's best friends since like early high school days, and is just right now. I think he works in like, I don't really know what Josh does. I think he has a degree in engineering or something. He's
He's important.
But I'm not. He just like is a very smart person, and he has been drawing for as long as I've known him.
Yeah. And he's and we've been in this little studio space before when we went to visit. I think it was, maybe I went to visit you when you were in St. Louis for your birthday or something. And it's so cool. And so he's an accomplished artist. And so he's agreed to talk with us next week and let us critique one of his pieces. So thank you for making that connection. That's through you.
Yeah. He's great. I, think that his art is super interesting, and his time lapses are super interesting, which I think was on his website, and just like that creative process. And he's an artist that's alive that you can talk to.
Hey, that's alive. That's a big deal. Okay, well, thanks for chatting with us this week, and I'll talk to you later, but you're the best.
Okay.
Have a good day.
Thanks for having me. See you guys. Bye.